Welcome to the Capitol News. I am your host, Alex Corritis. Today is May 2nd, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me. Hope everyone out there is doing well today. A couple stories we're going to discuss here today is a follow-up to Bill Barr, Attorney General Bill Barr, his testimony yesterday in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Of course, he was a no-show today in front of the House Judiciary Committee, which is what we were talking about yesterday as well. And there was some chicken that has been brought into the three-ring circus. We're going to talk about that. And then I also want to do a follow-up, just as a refresher, as to what President Trump said during his State of the Union address this year regarding what can end this quote-unquote economic miracle. Because I think a lot of things are starting to sort of fall into place that is sort of setting something up. It just doesn't seem right to me, and I just simply want to share that with you guys, get your take on that, and just let you know what I'm thinking, because I think that's what's going on here. I think the stage is being set for something, and we're going to get to that, so stay tuned. But quickly here, what am I talking about? A chicken making its way into the three-ring circus here. Well, Representative Steve Cohen of Tennessee, he brought in a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken to the hearing where Attorney General Bill Barr was supposed to be. Why? Bill? Because he wanted to mock Bill Barr. He was calling out Bill Barr. He was saying, look, you're a chicken. This is where we are in our politics in 2019 in the United States of America. I mean, I thought it was a disgrace yesterday during that testimony with a lot of members of the Democrat side just simply belittling and attacking the character of Attorney General Bill Barr. I mean, it was pitiful. I mean, we talked about Senator Hirono of Hawaii and simply asking people of Hawaii, is this the best you can do? This is the best person that you could put forward? I mean, seriously, there's nobody else better. There's not a smarter lawyer out there. There's not a better engineer. There's not a better business person out there that can run from the great state of Hawaii to send to represent the people in the state of Hawaii. This is the best we can do. This idiot Hirono. Give me a break. It's unbelievable. And now you got this idiot from Tennessee bringing in a bucket of chicken. I mean, it's too bad he didn't choke on a bone. I mean, what's going on here? I don't know how long it took him and his staff to come up with this, but the very fact that it crossed their minds is a shame. Okay, you can think it. That's fine. But to actually do it and to publicize it, I mean, that is a circus. That is the definition of it. You're not here to have a serious discussion. I mean, the reason why Attorney General Bill Barr didn't show up is because he was under the impression that he was going to be asked questions not only by members of Congress, but also by staff members. Well, why would staff members have to ask questions? I don't get this. Unless, of course, the members of Congress are just simply there to grandstand and look good for the cameras, but they actually don't know what took place with the Bob Mueller investigation. They're just reading off of headlines. They're just there to grandstand and to put on a good show for this circus. I mean, I think that's probably more of what it is, because if Bill Barr was tough with these congressmen, particularly obviously those on the Democrat side, they wouldn't know what to do. So that's why they probably just said, we're just going to delegate this to our staff and they can ask questions, because they've probably actually read the report and have a better understanding of what's going on. That would be my take. Otherwise, the congressman should be fully equipped to ask critical questions of Bill Barr in regards to the Mueller investigation, or perhaps anything else they want to bring up. I mean, it is their question time. If they want to talk about something else, it's within their rights to do so. But nevertheless, that's really the only logical reason that I can come up with as to why Jerry Nadler, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, would want staff members of the Judiciary Committee to ask questions. I mean, congressmen should do it. I mean, most of the time anyways, it's assumed that the staff members for members of Congress are putting forth a lot of the questions anyways. They're just simply there reading them. Hopefully we hope that these congressmen and senators are actually doing their homework and actually reading a lot of these reports and actually on top of this stuff. And I think for the most part, there's probably a good portion of them that are, at least have a general consensus as to what's going on. But this is just, ridiculous. I mean, you're going to parade Attorney General Bill Barr up there like they do for all of them for hours upon hours of testimony. Half of the questioning is going to be statements and questions of a rhetorical nature, or statements that are going to be belittle Attorney General Bill Barr. I mean, what's the point? I mean, I don't blame the Attorney General for not showing up. I think simply if Jerry Nadler said, it's no staff, just simply the members of Congress, the members of this committee, I think Bill Barr would have showed up. I think he would have sat there, took the beating like he did the other day in front of the Senate. And, of course, he pushed back. I mean, there were some good exchanges, particularly between him and Senator Kamala Harris and idiot Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut. I mean, who put this guy in there? I mean, seriously. Same question to you, Connecticut. That's the best you could do. I mean, I'm from the state of Pennsylvania. We got Bob Casey. I mean, I tell Joe Biden to go take a nap. I don't got to tell Bob Casey to take a nap. He's already sleeping. I don't know how this guy gets in there, except he has name recognition in this state. I mean, I don't know what he's doing. I really don't. I mean, your guess is as good as mine. But I mean, this is where we are. This is the state of our country. This is why we have as many problems as we do, and this is why we don't talk about them. Because these people caused them, and they don't want to take the blame for it, and they have no solution. They have no idea how to fix it. So they don't want to have a national discussion. They just want to, confuse you and distract you with the great Green New Deal. They just want to talk about free health care, free Medicare for all, free child care, free tuition forgiveness. That's all they want to do. They don't want to talk about all the problems that they have caused. They just want to say, look, you have all of these problems, but now it's all going to be free. Yeah, it's free. Can't you? I mean, it's not going to cost anything. Your tax dollars, your taxes aren't going to go up. No. There's not going to be any problem. It's free. How could something free cost anything? Now, of course, they can't answer that question. It's a simple question. Will anybody in the mainstream media ever ask that question? No. Will anybody at these rallies or town hall meetings ever ask them that question? No. I mean, simple, basic questions are not asked of our leaders. They're just simply not. It's just whatever is the drama of the day. This idiot Steve Cohen of Tennessee, again, bucket of KFC. All right. What type of questions is he going to be asked? I mean, he wants to be on TV. He wants to make his way onto MSNBC and CNN. And, of course, they're going to eat it up, and he knows this. He knows this. That's why he did it. He wanted his 15 minutes, and he got it. And he's going to continue to get it. I hope now that Bill Barr does go forth and testify before the House Judiciary Committee, and he just takes Steve Cohen to school during his question session, because he most definitely can. Now, one of the other things pertaining to Bill Barr and some of the testimony yesterday, it's something is suspect to me here, because you have obviously that letter that came out from Bob Mueller, or perhaps maybe one of his staff members wrote the letter, saying to Bill Barr, hey, we don't really fully agree with your summary as to what came out before the full disclosure of the report. Of course, there were still some redactions in the report, but for the most part, this thing was fully disclosed to the public and to Congress. And of course, there were some members of Congress who were basically given 99.9% of the full report. So, I mean, this is just political grandstanding. There was no need for this. And that was even stated by Bill Barr in his testimony when he was asked about the letter. He said, I didn't need a letter. Bob Mueller simply could have picked up the phone and said, hey, Bill, why'd you do it like this? It didn't have to go out here, and now it's in the media, and now it's something else for the Democrats to cling to and to say, oh, my goodness, call into question the integrity and the sincerity of Attorney General Bill Barr. And now you have Democrats out there calling for his impeachment, or hinting at his impeachment, or saying he should resign, or hinting that he should resign. Give me a break. Here's what it comes down to, folks. The Democrats are scared. They're scared bliss. Why? Because the tables are about to be turned. Even during the testimony, Bill Barr was simply asked, what's going on with the Office of Inspector General, Mike Horowitz? Is he investigating this? The Department of Justice, the FBI, these investigations, the Hillary Clinton stuff, the FISA stuff, the Bob Mueller investigation, and a whole host of other things. Yeah. Yep. He's investigating. He's looking into it. And I can't provide a whole bunch of details, and I'm not going to provide a whole bunch of details, but yeah, he's looking into it. And we're waiting for that to report. We're on pins and needles waiting for that report to come out, because a lot of names are going to drop, because a lot of names have to drop, because there was a bunch of wrongdoing. There was a coup perpetrated on the President of the United States. We're not going to look at Hillary Clinton. They do. They throw the book at her, A to Z. She's guilty, but we have no reasonable prosecutors here at the Department of Justice, so she skates. President Trump, however, no conspiracy, no collusion, but for 2 years, it's a witch hunt. That's what it was. It was a witch hunt. We know there was an insurance policy by members of the FBI at the time. Page, Strzok, Comey was there, McCabe was there, a whole host of others. A whole bunch of other names will be coming out. No problem with Clinton, but there were. No problem with Trump, but they were pretending that there was. So right now, the tables are being turned. There is an investigation of the investigators, and they are running scared. That's why they are starting to attack, personally, Attorney General Bill Barr. That's why they are now calling for his resignation and for him to resign. That's why they're saying he's not the Attorney General of the United States of America. He's simply a lapdog and a personal attorney for President Donald J. Trump. This is what the Democrats do. They don't attack the message. They don't attack the facts in the argument. They attack the messenger. This is why these people are so disgraceful. This is why these people are so disgusting. This is why they are despicable. I can't take it. They can't win on the argument. They can't win on the facts because they were clinging to hope for the last 2.5 years that President Trump, members of his family, his campaign, his administration, all down the line, they were going to jail. At the very least, there was going to be enough evidence that came out from the Bob Mueller investigation that you could have proceedings for impeachment against Donald J. Trump. Nope, didn't happen. He did not assert executive privilege, and now you have volume number 2 of the Mueller report that had to deal with obstruction of justice, because there were some things in there that looked, and quite honestly, they do, there are some things that look, he probably shouldn't have said this, he probably shouldn't have said that, he probably shouldn't, that's par for the course. That doesn't excuse the president. The president is not above the law. Nobody in this country is above the law. We have that conversation here all the time. In fact, if the president does not investigate the investigators, if Bill Barr does not investigate the investigators, if there is not an Office of Inspector General report that does such, then this two-tier justice system will continue. It has to be eliminated. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So the Democrats are running scared. They're running out of ammunition. They're going to continue to investigate Donald Trump, but they know their time is running out. Adam Schiff is under the gun. Jerry Nadler is under the gun. Maxine Waters, Elijah Cummings. These people are under the gun. They're going to continue to investigate. They're going to continue to look into the Trump campaign, the Trump administration, the Trump organization, his business, his real estate dealings, and a whole bunch of other business dealings. There's no end in sight until we have these hopeful bombshells that come out of the Office of Inspector General's report. And there's supposed to be a report coming out hopefully next week dealing with Jim Comey. So what's going to happen here? Are people going to start pointing the fingers? They're going to say, I'm in trouble. This guy, this Donald Trump, he wasn't supposed to win. And we were lackadaisical in what we were doing, and we were tweeting and texting to each other about how we felt about Donald Trump. And meanwhile, we're doing all of this stuff in the background. We're going to pretty much exonerate Hillary Clinton. We're going to throw the book at her, but at the end, we're going to say there's nothing there. She's going to skate. But this stuff, this Donald Trump stuff, this Steele dossier, this made-up, fabricated report, which we're finding out more and more about, we're gonna stick this to the guy, and we're going to use this to get warrants. We're going to present this as evidence to a judge so we can spy on this guy and his campaign and members of it. Wait till this stuff comes out. People, I'm telling you, half the country, they're not going to believe it. They're going to be shell-shocked. They are in their stupor. They are in their Zoloft, Prozac stupor. They're walking comas. They are so dead set against this president. When this information comes out, not from the president, but from a apolitical office, the Office of Inspector General, they're not going to believe it. They're going to think this is completely political. They're going to think that this was some sort of hoax, some sort of witch hunt perpetrated by the President of the United States. They're not going to be able to walk themselves out of this bag. They're just not going to be able to do it. This is why they're attacking not only the President, but now Attorney General Barr, because they know that they are going to be investigated. They know what took place. And half the country just isn't going to believe it. And what a shame that is. And this is why I tell you guys, don't just turn on the television and listen to people and take them at face value. Don't turn on this podcast and listen to me at face value. Think for yourselves. Think independently. Do your own homework, your own research. You're on your phone all day anyways. You don't have to watch cats playing the piano all day. You can actually go out there and read some articles and enlighten yourself and educate yourself on a whole host of issues. And don't go into your chamber. Don't go into your bubble and just read and watch things that, just simply reinforce what you're already thinking. That's the problem here, because that's what everybody does. They go into their little corner, they stay in their bubble, and they never leave. Go out there and get some other information from some other sources, some people that you don't like. If you want to claim that you're open-minded, then that's what you have to do. You have to. If you don't do it, then you're very close-minded. So don't just talk a good game, walk a good game, and go get information from a whole host of sources. That's the best way that you can come up with the best decision, the best conclusion. And you might shock yourself if you turn on Fox News, if you're somebody who watches MSNBC all the time. You might shock yourself to the positive if you're somebody who does the counter. So, I mean, go out there. What are you afraid of? It's just some information. Sit there, ponder it. Does it make sense? What are some basic questions that I can ask that tears this argument apart? Maybe I didn't do that. So maybe it's actually a good argument. And maybe that's going to shock you. And that's how you come to better conclusions. That's how you come to better ideas, better policies, and a whole host of other things. Now, we don't live in that world here in politics with these politicians. They just want to demonize as many people as possible. And right now, it's the president and it's the attorney general. The tables are being turned. You have John Brennan, the former CIA director, out there. He's in a panic. Why? Because he's at the core of all of this. He was a big member of the Obama administration. He made his way to power in a very short period of time. Again, our conversation not too long ago regarding Admiral Mike Rogers of the NSA, who tipped off Trump. That's our opinion, simply because of the events. Go back and check out that podcast where we had that discussion. John Brennan wanted Admiral Mike Rogers fired because he wasn't a team player as to what John Brennan, James Clapper, and the Obama administration were doing, the Justice Department, the FBI, this whole insurance policy against the Donald Trump campaign and subsequently the president of the United States. I mean, he's there. And John Brennan is out there in a panic, basically saying, there was a bunch of rats in the Trump campaign, and there's probably a bunch of rats still on the Trump team. He's projecting. There's a bunch of rats in the Democrat Party. There's a bunch of rats in the Obama administration who are coming out to save their own rear ends. And this is going to come out. It has to. For the sake of this republic, it has to come out. People need to be held accountable. This is treason. It most definitely is. And these people need to face the penalty for treason. This cannot stand. An example needs to be made of these people because this cannot happen again. This is pretty much the last leg of the American experiment, the American republic. If we fail here, can we get back? Sure, but it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to get back if we allow this to collapse. These investigations are coming. We're going to have some conversations again with regarding Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. I mean, he's out there all the time on Twitter, on YouTube. Check him out, Judicial Watch. Go to their website, YouTube, Judicial Watch, or Tom Fitton. Watch his videos. I mean, this guy is a fighter. He is out there looking out for the American people. He does not like wrongdoing in this government, and it's very passionate and contagious. And there's a lot more information coming out regarding Hillary Clinton and a whole host of other things. But primarily, what's really going to be the fireworks that really starts to kick everything off, I think, is going to be the Office of Inspector General's report regarding the DOJ and the FBI, the declassification. Hopefully the president does follow through with the declassification of the FISA warrants and all of that process that took place that led to his investigation, the Bob Mueller investigation, and all of that stuff. So stay tuned. It's going to be very interesting. But before we leave, I do still want to talk about President Trump and his State of the Union address earlier this year regarding the warnings, the things that we have to pay attention to if this economic miracle is going to come to an end. Now, of course, we don't believe here at the Capitol News that we are in the midst of an economic miracle. We're in the midst of an economic mirage. That's what this is. This is a bunch of propaganda. It's a lot of phony numbers out there. Are there some good things? Sure there are. I'm not knocking every single statistic that's out there. But again, we are here to piece together this economic puzzle, and most of the pieces are pointing to the downside, not to the upside, and not certainly to the best economy ever experienced in the United States of America. I mean, that ain't even close. It's not even close. I understand the president is one to exaggerate, sometimes outright lie. I understand he wants to be a salesman and a cheerleader for the United States. There's some pros to that, but there's also some cons, because the cons come from the exaggeration and the lies, because that's poor leadership. And quite frankly, I'm very much against that. but we have to recall what he told us. What were the few things in the State of the Union address that he said will derail or end the economic miracle? Well, one was endless wars. Well, what are we in the midst of now? We're still in Afghanistan. We're still meddling in the Middle East. But now, more so front and center, is the issues with Venezuela. And we're hearing more and more from primarily Republicans, but you have senators and congressmen alike coming out and saying, yeah, you know what, the military option is an option. Typically they want to reserve that for the last option, and that's what they say. But quite frankly and honestly, that's the first option. That's what they want. This is the military-industrial complex alive and well, folks. We talk about this all the time, specifically on the economic podcast, where we say, look, here's the stocks. How have they performed? Da-da. There it is. The swamp is alive and well. Banks making record profits, the military-industrial complex making record profits, the Federal Reserve continuing to print funny money, the president himself and his economics team coming out and saying, hey, whoa, what's going on here? Cut interest rates by 50 basis points, or more recently from the president himself, a full 100 basis points, 1 full percentage point, and embark on emergency measure quantitative easing. All right, I'm not going to go off on a tangent on it, but that just doesn't make any sense. Endless wars. We also have Secretary of State Mike Pompeo out there saying, yeah, you know what, the military option, that's a possibility. The president's willing to do it. Now, of course, this could just be talk. He could just be trying to be a strong guy, play that card to try to get the Maduro regime to, resign, call it a quits, whatever. It's highly unlikely that that's going to happen. So if we have another war, another battle, This to me would fall into that bucket of the president considering this an endless war. So that's one strike against the economic miracle. Okay? That's strike number one, endless wars. Strike number two, political divisiveness. Well, my goodness, where's that going to go? That's a gimme. So that's strike two, political divisiveness. Strike two. Partisan investigations. If partisan investigations continue, that will be something that can derail the economic miracle. We just had that conversation. We have that conversation here all the time. Is there any end in sight? No, there isn't. Not unless and until the president declassifies information, particularly regarding FISA, particularly regarding the FBI's 302s, which are the summaries of interviews, and the Office of Inspector General's report that hopefully is a bombshell, and the report on Jim Comey himself. That might deter some further investigations, but that's highly unlikely because these people, the Democrats, Adam Schiff, Maxine Waters, Nadler, Cummings, they want to save face. They want to save face. And they said, oh, well, we told you we were going to investigate. We have all these things. We want all these witnesses. We have all these subpoenas out there. We're going to continue. We have to do it. We can walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. So, yeah, these other reports might come out. Yeah, we might work forward here with infrastructure and a whole host of things, but that's just, legitimizing our claim that we can walk and chew bubblegum. We can do these things for the American people, but we can also investigate the President of the United States on behalf of the American people, too, because everybody needs to know the truth. So that's strike three. Endless wars, political divisiveness, and ongoing partisan investigations. But let's not forget, there's also strike number four. We have a fourth strike here. We have an insurance policy on this one. We have the Federal Reserve not cutting rates and implementing quantitative easing. According to the president, his recent tweet, what we had just had a discussion on, the stock market and the economy would be so much better. It would be up, up, and up. It would take off like a rocket, he said, if the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates and embarks on quantitative easing, number four. Well, the Federal Reserve came out yesterday and said, well, we're not cutting interest rates and we're not embarking on quantitative easing, number four, not at this time. And in fact, there was some language in there that said, well, inflation was transitory, so temporarily to the low side. We're anticipating that it's going to pick up in the coming months, and so there's no reason for us to cut rates. And that might be one of the reasons why we've been seeing a sell-off in the stock market the past couple of days. Again, 2 days does not make a trend, so we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, and we're going to have to see what happens over the weekend and what subsequently happens next week to see if we start to form some sort of trend to the downside. But these types of things here, you have to pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. And again, I know it's very difficult to remember everything that comes out. That's why I harp on this all the time with the President's State of the Union address, because you have to pay attention to what the President says. Yeah, some of it's a lot of fluff, some of it's a lot of hyperbole and exaggeration, and again, some of it's just outright lies. But sometimes there's some things you have to pay attention to. You have to read between the lines. And I think, quite importantly, that State of the Union address was, again, setting the stage for what might happen. Because he's going to take credit for all of the good things, or at least the seemingly good things. He is not going to take responsibility for the bad. So, endless wars, he's going to blame the military-industrial complex, which has been making out like bandits since he's been there. He's going to blame the Democrats for the political divisiveness. Again, the swamp. He's going to blame these political partisan investigations because he's going to say, look, since I've been here, the stock market, the economy loves Trump. They keep doing this. They're like, oh, my goodness, we need some certainty. This has to stop. If the stock market rolls over, if the economy rolls over, he's going to say, look, I told you this. I told you, not just in a tweet, not just in a statement, but at the State of the Union address. I told you this was going to happen. So he's going to lay this at the feet of the Democrats. He's also going to lay this if the stock market rolls over and the economy rolls over, he's going to lay it at the feet of the Federal Reserve. He has an out. He's going to say, I told you, endless wars, political divisiveness, partisan investigations in the Federal Reserve. Nobody wants to listen to me. Is he smart, folks? Is he crazy like a fox? Time will tell. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure having you as always. Please like, share, subscribe, get the word out. Leave your comments. We would love to hear from you. This is the Capital News. I am Alex Koritis. Godspeed.